Happy Fri-YAY, divas. Here we are again. It's Fri-YAY time. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how to increase your knowledge of the field. Okay, I think this is so important, but that would definitely be my bias, right? But this is something that I think is important because I know the value of having a strong music community and a robust network. And so increasing your knowledge of the field is one of the ways that we kind of get a sense of like where might like who might be a good collaborator, where might I fit in, who's looking for the kind of music that I'm making, what kinds of projects am I inspired by, where do those usually get booked, what festivals are doing cool things that are getting me like fired up, right? Okay, there's so many of these things. Okay. So increasing your knowledge of the field, I think, means having an awareness of like just kind of like of what I would consider kind of expert or authority status, right? Well, where are those things happening? What kinds of work is being recognized? And then who's making that work? This is all kind of like part and parcel of having a better understanding of your field. So this can be challenging at a early stage in your career because you may feel like you only know like your school or whatever, the people that you might have gone to a couple of like camps with or something like that. But there's a whole musical world out there. And the best way that you can do this is by trying to bring it into your life in the most manageable way possible. Also kind of like see if you can like do it regularly, but also like bite size or manageable pieces. Okay. So it doesn't mean this is not one of those things where you can kind of like binge information about your field in a way, because you can't just like one Sunday out of the year be like, okay, I looked up every single thing that's like every person that won, I don't know, like the Barlow, and now I know. Don't know. So like you can look those things up and then kind of explore that way. But I definitely encourage you to kind of do this in a bunch of different ways, which is getting to know people. And this can happen in a lot of ways, but also getting to know kind of what's going on. And I think some of the ways that I think about that existing are getting to know your local art community, and then also getting to know kind of various local arts communities in your region, but then also who are the people that are making work and reviewing work and like going to work and funding work, all of that kind of stuff that in my maybe sub-discipline nationally and internationally. So that's the kind of stuff that I want you to think about. The way that we can do that is like get on email lists that for like all of the local arts organizations and arts advocacy organizations for your municipality, your town, your state, your region, right? If you aren't on those, like you're really missing out on ways that you can become more aware of grants. This is a pipeline of information because a lot of people that are like trying to connect with artists are going to go to those places to spread the information. So it's like your job to also go find that, to kind of put yourself in the flow of information. Another way of doing this is kind of staying on top of calendars, right? Here in New Orleans, we've got WWOZ, the Live Wire, which has been really helpful. As I came down here, I wanted to find out who's playing a lot around here, what kinds of stuff, what are all the venues where people are playing, what venues are the venues where people are doing new music-y things or kind of experimental things versus the venues that are like straight up traditional jazz, right? And so having a calendar like that really helps me understand, like if I look at that regularly, if I just like check in all the time, then I'm able to ascertain like more information about who's working all the time, also what venues like tend to book like certain things. And so you knew this was coming, but this is a big, huge shout out for LMP. If you are not already checking the Live Music Project concert calendar all the time, sign up for our emails. I make those so lovingly every week. Come on. So, or put your concerts on our calendar because I also want to tell people about them. So concert calendars, they can be so helpful, and we don't always think about that, right? They're not that's not like the first thing that always comes to our mind, but they are such incredible hubs of information that you just taking some time to kind of like stay on top of it, just scrolling through things and being like, oh, that person, oh, this person, right? Speaking of person to person, I want you to put yourself in places as often as possible as you can for where you might be able to meet more people that are interested in the same things that you're interested in, shared interests, shared values, right? So that might look like going to conferences or going to festivals where you can meet people, but this can also happen online. So there's lots of groups, there's lots of kind of digital or virtual meetups that happen in this area. And I want you to just like Google sleuth your way into it, right? So something like, there's this Ella project here that's like my arts lawyers. They host like a meetup all the time, and it was like hybrid this year, so you could like join it virtually, and you could also go in person and meet other people who are doing things. So like I said, I really want you to think about this both locally, hyper local, right? Hyper local is like, do I know everyone who is working in the arts in my super hyper local area? And if not, what can I do to put myself in places where I might be able to get to meet more of them? I also want to do this in my subgenre, like in my super niche. It's like who's funding this, who's like promoting this, who's presenting this, who's doing this kind of work. I want all of that. So maybe it's like listening to more podcasts. Maybe it's like getting on the email list of various venues. Maybe it's checking things out and seeing like, oh, yes, you see the list of people who were like funded by a New Music USA project grant, but did you go and like check out what they're doing, right? Did you see, find out the people that are like nearby you and follow them on social media, make a connection there, right? Just take that extra step. I'm going to give you a good example of this. This is from a while back. My friend Garrett Schumann did this thing that I still love so much, where he called it mapping my musical Twitterverse, right? So this is, when we had like, I don't know, when we were more on Twitter. And so he realized that he was interacting with a ton of people who were artists and musicians on Twitter, but he didn't have a robust knowledge of their work. And so he's like, well, I'm going to take it upon myself to find out more. And so he went through and like went to their profile and then followed that through to their website and listened to, and I think he did this in a way where he kind of like set it up for himself where he would write about it. So he wrote a blog post where I think he'd feature like 2 or 3 people, and he'd write on, in the blog post, he'd be like, I went to this person's website, or I went to this person's SoundCloud or whatever, and I listened to this piece. And one of the things that I really liked about it was this, right? And so it was a way for him to give himself a project in which he went to somebody else's site and like engaged with their art in a meaningful way, was able to write about it in a way that kind of like captured that for him. So you can do the same thing. You can think about yourself in that way and say like, I'm going to take the next step. Do I know about these people that I interact with on social media? Do I know about their art? Like, do I actually know? Do I feel connected to what they're doing as an artist? Let me take that next step and go like, look at their documentation, like listen to their recordings, whatever it is. Like it can be anything for you. So I want you to kind of think about that. A lot of this boils down to take the next step, right? If something comes into your field of vision, into your sphere, into your world. So if you get an email from an arts organization and they reference another arts organization in that email, take the next step. Go find them, like go be on their email list, go follow them on social media, right? Do something that allows you to get more information about your field, and like you can just kind of keep that. You can go through them. I know that email, oh my gosh, email can be super overwhelming. I get that. But also if you just kind of scan through it and you go like, these are things that I want to see about all the time. Oh, this was really helpful. Oh, I learned about somebody new. Oh, I do want to connect with that person, right? These are these little tangential, actionable ways that we actually learn more and more about our field, right? So if you see a conference lineup, but you can't go to the conference, take the next step and see who's presenting sessions that I care about. Can I reach out to them? Can I friend them on social media? Can I send them a message and say, hey, I'm not able to go to this conference, but I really love your topic. can we talk a little bit more about it? Or I'd love to read your paper afterwards, something like that. It's okay. It's okay. Like, it's okay to reach out. It's okay to take the next step. In fact, I really think that you should. So I want you to kind of, whatever it is, put a little post-it up here, a little post-it that says, take the next step. So when something, so you've set your own trigger for when something comes into my field of vision, across my plate, whatever, that I'm not going to just go like, oh, okay, whatever, and like pass it on. I'm going to go, oh, that's interesting. Let me take the next step, right? I'm going to follow them. I'm going to sign up for whatever they're doing. I'm going to see if I can find out more, or just kind of keep them in my awareness. Like I said, these are just a few things that I'd love for you to consider as if you are looking for ways to kind of be more knowledgeable about your field, find more opportunities. Honestly, last thing before I let you go, I get this a lot from people that are like, I share a lot of like opportunities, jobs, like, funding things on my social media channels. And I will hear people tell me like, how do you find all these things? And I was like, well, because I took the next step. Because I found out that, oh, this is a funding organization in this area of the country. And sometimes I want to work with somebody there. So I'm going to keep an eye out and see if there's a chance, like if they do any sort of funding for what I do, then I want to know about it. And so it's not just that one time, it's staying connected, but it doesn't have to be an overwhelming experience. It's just kind of like scanning information every once in a while, and then keeping track of those things and taking the next step when something kind of comes into your life. You hear what I'm saying? I want you to try this for yourself. Think about, where do I want to be more knowledgeable about my field, right? Whatever it is. And then ask yourself, how can I take the next step? What's a way that I can trigger myself to take the next step regularly so that I'm actually doing the work of increasing my knowledge and or my network? All right, divas. I love you so much. Get out of here. Go enjoy your Friday. As always, stay sparkly inside and out. Until next time.